Today we are going to discuss about mechanism of action of general anesthetics, and the second point is synthesis of prescribed drugs in the syllabus. The three drugs are prescribed in the syllabus. They are halothane, methoxyethyl sodium and ketamine hydrochloride. So first we will go into the mechanism of action of general anesthetics. MOA of general anesthetics. There were no clear guidelines for the mechanism of action of general anesthetics. The mechanism of general anesthetics generally involves blockage of ion channels. Generally involves blockage of ion channels, or the other possible mechanism is general anesthetics produce a specific change, a specific change in release of neurotransmitters. Okay, so the mechanism of action of general anesthetics are maybe two types. One is either they block the ion channels, otherwise they produce a specific change in release of neurotransmitters. Okay, there are three hypotheses are proposed. Okay, three mechanisms are proposed. Okay, three mechanisms are proposed. The first mechanism is called as hydrate hypothesis. First proposed mechanism is hydrate hypothesis. So what is meant by hydrate hypothesis means these general anesthetic agents interacts with the structured waters. That means fluids in the central nervous system or peripheral nervous system, and forms, whenever this general anesthetics interacts with the structured water, they will form hydrates. These hydrates will stop the brain function. These hydrates stops brain function in corresponding area, such that whenever this general anesthetics interacts with the water in brain areas, in which area they interacts with the water, they will form hydrates at that area, and that area function will be stopped. So this mechanism or this hypothesis was not satisfactory. That's why this nowadays this hypothesis was not accepted. And second hypothesis was ion channel hypothesis. This is the most accepted hypothesis for mechanism of action of general anesthetics. Okay, among the three mechanisms, hydrate hypothesis was not accepted nowadays, and the most accepted mechanism is the ion channel hypothesis. Such that these general anesthetic agents interacts with cell membranes. They will interact with the cell membranes. Okay, this ion channel hypothesis states that whenever this general anesthetics interacts with the membrane channels, the general anesthetics, whenever interacts with the cell membrane, they blocks the ion channels. This general anesthetic agents blocks the ion channels. As a result of blockage of these ion channels, increase increase of potassium flow and decrease of sodium flow into the cell, into the cell. So whenever this general anesthetic agent interacts with the cell membrane, it blocks the ion channels present in the cell membrane. Whenever these ion channels are blocked, the inflow of potassium increases and outflow of sodium decreases into the cell, and this produces this inflow and outflow change produces anesthesia. This is ion channel hypothesis. This is nowadays most accepted mechanism of action for the general anesthetics. Okay, so there is another mechanism is there. That mechanism is called as fluid membrane hypothesis. Fluid membrane hypothesis. Okay, fluid membrane hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, this general anesthetic agents immobilizes the cell membrane. Immobilizes the cell membrane. Or the general anesthetic agent hampers cell membrane fluidity. Cell membrane fluidity. So according to this mechanism hypothesis, the general anesthetic agents immobilizes the cell membrane, or they hamper the cell membrane fluidity. As a result, this immobilization of the cell membrane or hampering the cell membrane fluidity results, otherwise which produce change in ion channel activity, which produces change in ion channel activity. As a result, anesthesia will be produced. So coming to the mechanism of action, once again explaining, the mechanism of action of general anesthetics involves either the blockage of ion channels, or they may produce specific change in release of neurotransmitters. Okay, this is possible mechanism. So for this mechanism, three hypotheses are proposed. The first hypothesis is the hydrate hypothesis. Second hypothesis is the ion channel hypothesis. Third hypothesis is the fluid membrane hypothesis. Among these three hypotheses, the ion channel hypothesis is mostly accepted mechanism of action for this general anesthetic agents. Okay, so generally with this ion channel, according to the ion channel hypothesis, this general anesthetic interacts with the cell membrane. Particularly, they will interact with GABA receptor. GABA A receptors on ion channels. So they interact with the GABA A receptor ion channels of the cell membranes. As a result, they will block the ion channels. So whenever this general anesthetic agent binds with the GABA receptor of the ion channel, whenever this general anesthetic agent binds with the GABA A receptor, and they produce blockage of ion channels. As a result, whenever general anesthetic agent binds with the GABA A receptor on this ion channels, this interaction will block the ion channels, results increase in flow of potassium, decrease in flow of sodium into the cell. As a result, anesthesia will be produced. This is the major mechanism proposed for the general anesthetics. So okay, so this is a major mechanism. For ketamine, there is a separate mechanism there. The ketamine drug, the mechanism is different. For all general anesthetic, this mechanism is most accepted. Ion channel hypothesis accepted, but ketamine, the mechanism of action will be different. We will discuss the mechanism of action of ketamine whenever discussing about the synthesis of ketamine hydrochloride. Okay, so now we directly go into the synthesis topics. So the first drug we have to go for synthesis is the halothane. Halothane, okay. Halothane. Halothane synthesis. Halothane synthesis. So, what is the structure of halothane means? There are two carbon atoms. Okay, we have two carbon atoms. And first carbon atom we have three fluorine atoms substituted. We have to draw three fluorine atoms. And second carbon atom we have to add bromine, chlorine, and hydrogen. So it is chemically, whenever giving name, this IUPAC name is 2-bromo, okay, 2-chloro, 1,1 trifluoroethane. This is the name of the halothane. So halothane is a 2-bromo, 2-chloro, 1,1 trifluoroethane. Coming to the synthesis, we have to treat trichloroethylene with hydrogen fluoride. Okay, so the starting material for the synthesis of halothane is trichloroethylene, CH2 double bond CHCl. So you have to treat it with hydrogen fluoride. So this hydrogen fluoride will be added across this double bond. This hydrogen fluoride will be added across the double bond, and we will get here F3. So H2F3. Okay, so it will be added across the double bond, and we will get, and as well as we also simultaneously take this trichloroethylene. This name is ethylene, is treated with H2F2, hydrogen fluoride, as well as SbCl3. It is antimony chloride. SbCl3 is called as antimony chloride. What happens means, whenever you treat an trichloroethylene, the starting material with hydrogen fluoride and antimony chloride, so what happens means, this hydrogen fluoride will be added across this double bond, and this chlorine atom will be substituted on this atom. So chlorine atom will be substituted. So this addition as well as substitution with the chlorine atom occurs simultaneously, and we will get carbon, fluorine, okay, fluorine, CH2Cl. It is called as 2-chloro 1,1 trifluoroethane. Okay, so we have to, okay, right, no worry. Okay, so then we have to go for bromination. In presence of Br2 at 450 degrees centigrade. It undergoes bromination, and we will get this halothane. So once again explaining synthesis of halothane. So halothane is an 2-bromo 2-chloro 1,1 trifluoroethane. In the synthesis of halothane involves treatment of trichloroethylene with hydrogen fluoride and antimony chloride simultaneously. This hydrogen fluoride acts across the double bond of this starting material, and chlorine atom also will be substituted simultaneously on this dichloroethylene molecule, and we will get an organic intermediate called as 2-chloro-1,1,1 trifluoroethene. This obtained intermediate is treated with the bromine. It undergoes bromination at 450 degrees centigrade, and we will get halogen. This is about the synthesis of halogen. Coming to the next drug, that is the methohexital sodium. Methohexital sodium. Second drug we have to go for synthesis is the methohexital sodium. Methohexital sodium. What is the structure of methohexital sodium? You have to write here. Okay. Sorry. Okay. There is a nitrogen atom here. Okay. There is another nitrogen. Okay. Double bond. Oxygen. Okay. Okay. Here there is an keto group. Here an keto group. Okay. Then there are two alkyl groups are here. Okay. The first alkyl group here is CH3. Okay. Double bond. There is C, triple bond C, C2H5. Another alkyl group is CH2, CH, double bond CH2. Okay. So this is the structure of methohexital sodium. So coming to the name, its IUPAC name, it's an 5-allyl 1-methyl 2-pentyl barbituric acid. Barbituric acid. Coming to the name of this methohexital sodium, this is the structure of the methohexital sodium. There is a barbituric ring. Okay. So it is IUPACally called, IUPAC name is 5-allyl 1-methyl 2-pentyl barbituric acid. So coming to the synthesis, synthesis involves, okay, so whenever an dialkylated malonic ester treated with urea, we will get methohexital. So when you treat an dialkylated malonic ester with the urea, we will get methohexital. So first you have to go for synthesis of dialkylated malonic ester. We have to go for synthesis of dialkylated malonic ester. Okay. So then we will treat this obtained malonic ester with the urea. So part A is synthesis of dialkylated malonic ester. Okay. Part A is synthesis of this dialkylated malonic ester. So first we will discuss about synthesis of this ester, dialkylated ester. Okay. In the synthesis, for the synthesis of dialkylated malonic ester, we have to take the starting material is 1-butyl magnesium bromide. The starting material is 1-butyl magnesium bromide. That is C2H5, C triple bond C, Mg, Br Mg. Yeah, this is called as 1-butyl magnesium bromide. It's a Grignard reagent, magnesium bromide. When it is treated with this 1-butyl magnesium bromide is treated with acetaldehyde CH3 C double bond O H. Okay, it is called as acetaldehyde. We will get a reagent called as Normand's reagent. We will get a reagent called as Normand's reagent, that is C2H5 C triple bond CH CH3 OH. It is called as Normand's reagent. So whenever we treat an 1-butyl magnesium bromide with acetaldehyde, we will get a reagent called as Normand's reagent. So this Normand's reagent is treated with the phosphorus tribromide. This is treated with phosphorus tribromide. And we will get true bromo 3-hexene. So we will get C2H5 C double bond C CH3 Br. This is the true bromo 3-hexane. 2-bromo 3-hexane. Okay, so for the synthesis of dialkylate malonyl ester, you have to take 1-butyl magnesium bromide as a starting material. It is treated with the acetaldehyde, and we will get an organic reagent called as Normand's reagent. We will get an Normand's reagent. This Normand's reagent is brominated with this phosphorus tribromide, and we will get a true bromo 3-hexene. 2-bromo, such that this OH group is replaced with the bromine. This obtained 2-bromo derivative is treated with the malonyl ester. It is treated with malonyl ester, that is C2H5O diketo group O C2H5. It is called as malonyl ester. So obtained 2-bromo 3-hexene is treated with this malonyl ester, and we will get alkylated malonyl ester. Here have this carbon has two hydrogens. Okay, here this hydrogen is replaced with this position is alkylated with this 2-bromo hexane. So we will get C2H5O double bond O C2H5, and here it undergoes alkylation. One hydrogen retains, another hydrogen is substituted with alkyl group, that is C2H5 C double bond C. Okay, CH3. This hydrogen is replaced with this alkyl group. That means what happens means this bromine hydrogen will be eliminated, and the bond forms between this carbon and this carbon. Okay, this minus HBr, we will get this alkylated malonyl ester. This obtained alkylated malonyl ester again treated with CH2 double bond CH2 Br, another alkylating agent. So on treating this monoalkylated malonyl ester with this alkylating agent, the alkylation occurs here, and this hydrogen and bromine will be removed as minus HBr, and we will get C2H5O double bond O C2H5, and at one side it is C2H5 C double bond C CH3. Another side, another alkylated group is CH2 CH double bond CH2, this group. Okay, this dialkylated, it is called as dialkylated malonyl ester. We synthesized a required malonyl ester, dialkylated malonyl ester, by this way. Once again explaining the synthesis of dialkylated malonyl ester, that is a part A. For the synthesis of dialkylated malonyl ester, the starting material is the 1-butyl magnesium bromide. 1-butyl magnesium bromide. This is treated with the acetaldehyde. It is treated with the acetaldehyde. You will get an organic derivative called as Norman's reagent, that is C2H5 C triple bond C CH CH3OH. This Norman's reagent is brominated at this hydroxy group with the phosphorus tribromide, and we will get C2H5 C triple bond C CH CH3. Okay, so whenever this 2-bromo-2-hexane obtained is treated with the malonyl ester, at this carbon it undergoes alkylation. So this hydrogen and bromine eliminated as minus HBr. At this end, this CH will be added, so we will get an alkylated malonyl ester. So this is the CH3 C triple bond C C2H5. This alkyl group is added across this carbon atom. So again this monoalkylated malonyl ester is treated with another alkylating agent here. This carbon atom undergoes alkylation, and we will get a dialkylated malonyl ester. This whenever this obtained dialkylated malonyl ester treated with the urea, and treatment with the urea, we will get methohexyl sodium. So this is a C2 part B, C2H5O double bond keto group O C2H5. One side it is CH3 C triple bond C C2H5. Okay, so another side is CH single bond CH2 double bond CH2 CH double bond CH2. Okay, this is dialkylated malonyl ester. Whenever it is treated with urea, that is CH3 NH CO NH2 CO, it is urea, and we will get methohexyl sodium. We will get methohexyl sodium. That is the structure of the methohexyl sodium is, we will get methohexyl sodium, methohexyl. This is the way of synthesis of methohexyl sodium. So methohexyl synthesis involves treatment of dialkylated malonyl ester with the urea. We will get methohexyl. Okay, so this dialkyl malonyl ester IUPAC, its name is allyl 1-methyl 2-pentyl malonyl ester. malonic ester. So it is allyl methyl group. Allyl methyl group. This is pentyl 2 pentyl group. 2 pentyl group. Okay. So this dialkyl malonic ester treated with the urea, we will get methohextal. Okay. This is about synthesis of methohextal sodium. Synthesis of methohextal sodium. I again writing the structure of methohextal sodium here. Okay. Nitrogen. Okay. There is an double bond. Here we have to add CH3, C triple bond, C2H5. Okay, another alkyl group, CH. This is the structure of methohextal. This is the structure of methohextal. So this is the way of synthesis of methohextal. So in the next drug we have to go for synthesis the ketamine hydrochloride. Ketamine hydrochloride. Okay. Into the ketamine hydrochloride synthesis, the structure of the ketamine is here. There is a benzene group substituted with the chlorine here. There is a nitrogen. Nitrogen has CH3. Okay, this is having an cyclohexoketone. Okay, this is the structure of ketamine. So coming to the name, its name is 2-orthochloropentile. 2-orthochloropentile. This is the 2-orthochloropentile. 2-methyl amino. This methyl group. Methyl amino. Cyclohexanone. So ketamine is an 2-orthochloropentile, 2-methyl amino, cyclohexanone. Before discussing the synthesis of this ketamine hydrochloride, first we will discuss about mechanism of action. Mechanism of action of this ketamine hydrochloride. It's an dissociative anesthetic. So coming to the mechanism of action, this mechanism of action of this ketamine is similar to that of phencyclidine. This mechanism of action is very similar to that of phencyclidine. Okay, its mechanism of action is very similar to that of phencyclidine. Like phencyclidine, this ketamine acts as non-competitive agonist at NMDA receptor. Coming to the mechanism of action, this acts as non-competitive agonist at NMDA receptor. So where what happens means this ketamine binds with cationic channel of NMDA receptor. So this ketamine binds with the cationic channel of the NMDA receptor. As a result, this binding results. Otherwise, this binding prevents the flow of this binding of ketamine with the cationic channel of NMDA prevents the flow of cations through cationic channel. Cationic channel. So this binding of ketamine with cationic channel of the NMDA receptor prevents the flow of cations through cationic channels. It results the prevention of flow of cations through cationic channels results neuronal inactivation. Results neuronal inactivation. Result neuronal inactivations which will produce so neuronal inactivation produce unconsciousness. This is the mechanism of action of this ketamine hydrochloride. This ketamine hydrochloride acts as non-competitive agonist at an NMDA receptor. Whenever this ketamine binds with the cationic channel of NMDA receptor, it will prevent the flow of cations to the cation channels. As a prevention of flow is prevented, it results neuronal inactivation. This neuronal inactivation produces unconsciousness. And these NMDA receptors are present. These NMDA receptors are present throughout the brain. So these NMDA receptors are present mostly in the brain, all parts of the brain. So whenever this ketamine drug enter into the CNS, it will bind with the NMDA receptors in the brain. As a result, the flow of cations will be stopped. Whenever the flow of cations are stopped, the neurons undergoes inactivation. This neuronal inactivation produces unconsciousness. This is about mechanism of action of NMDA receptor. Ketamine. And remaining general anesthetics, most of the general anesthetic acts on GABA receptor, but this ketamine acts on NMDA receptor. Note this point. Most of the general anesthetics acts on GABA A receptors, but this ketamine acts on NMDA receptor. This is about mechanism of action of ketamine hydrochloride. Now we will go into the synthesis of this ketamine. Synthesis of ketamine. The synthesis of ketamine involves the starting material is the 2-chlorobenzoyl. 2-chlorobenzoyl. So 2-chlorobenzoyl. Two-chlorobenzoyl is alkylated with this Grignard reagent, cyclopentyl magnesium bromide. This 2-chlorobenzoyl is alkylated with the cyclopentyl magnesium bromide, and we will get an intermediate. That is chlorine. We have here C double bond O. This nitrile group will be converted to keto group, and we will get this is cyclopentyl group. It is called as, this intermediate is called as 2-cyclobenzyl 2-chlorobenzoyl 2-chlorobenzyl cyclopentane. So this obtained intermediate is called as 2-chlorobenzoyl cyclopentane. So the synthesis of ketamine involves treatment of 2-chlorobenzoyl with cyclopentyl magnesium bromide. On treatment of this 2-chlorobenzoyl with cyclopentyl magnesium bromide, we will get an organic intermediate. It is called as 1,2-chlorobenzyl cyclopentone. This is brominated with the bromine. So obtained drug is brominated, undergo brominated with bromine. We will get an bromoketone. We will get bromoketone such that there is a chlorine atom, there is a keto group. Okay, so we have this cyclopentyl group. Cyclopentyl group will be brominated. It is called as bromoketone. Bromoketone. This bromoketone is treated with aqueous methylamine solution. This obtained bromoketone is next treated with aqueous methylamine. That is, methylamine is nothing but CH3NH2. This, whenever you treat this bromoketone with methylamine, this bromine will be eliminated. Whenever you treat bromoketone with methylamine, this bromine group will be hydrolyzed. And we will get this keto group will be converted into amide group. Keto group will be converted into amide. So whenever you treat a bromoketone with methylamine, this keto group will convert into an amide. So nitrogen, this oxygen will be replaced by nitrogen, and this bromine will be replaced by OH group, and we will get methylamine derivative. That is here chlorine. So in presence of oxygen, in presence of oxygen, you have to write nitrogen CH3. Okay, there is a cyclopentyl group. This bromine is hydrolyzed. We have hydroxyl group here. So hydroxyl group here. Okay, it is called as methylamine derivative. This methylamine derivative on heating, first we will get decaline. So first we will get decaline. On further heating of this decaline, obtained decaline, ring expansion reaction occurs. On further heating with this, obtained decaline, on further heating of this decaline, it undergoes ring expansion reaction. And we will get ketamine. You get the whatever the target molecule, ketamine. So once again I explain the synthesis of this ketamine. The synthesis of ketamine involves treatment of 2-chlorobenzoyl with the chloropentyl magnesium bromide. We will get an intermediate called as 1,2-chlorobenzoyl cyclopentanone. It is brominated with bromine, and we will get a bromoketone. Whenever this bromoketone is treated with methylamine, the bromine group undergoes hydrolysis, and we will get OH group, and this keto group is replaced with the NCH3 group. Okay, this keto oxygen is replaced with NCH3 group, and we will get methylamine derivative. Whenever you heat an methylamine derivative, it will be methylamine derivative on heating, it will be converted to decaline. Whenever this decaline furtherly heated, it undergoes ring expansion reaction, and we will get ketamine. This is the synthesis of ketamine hydrochloride. Okay, with this the 50 unit syllabus is 100% completed. Okay, from the next section we will discuss about the first unit. Okay.